Hello, my name is Richard Williamson. I'm here to talk to you about the games industry report that Edison has recently published. The reason we're sort of looking at the game sector now is that there were three IPOs over the last 12 to 18 months, so that now there are 5 or 6 quoted companies here in the UK, all focused in or around the game sector. So Codemasters, a developer and publisher, Team 17, an independent publisher, Sumo Digital, a co-developer, and have joined Frontier Developments, a developer and self-publisher, and Keywords, a game services provider. So the 6th company that I referenced at the start is Game Digital, which also is evolving from a retailer of physical games product, offering esports and other types of services in a more experiential type model. So we believe now is a very good time to be looking at the UK game sector because there is suddenly a choice to be made, offering different business models, different risk profiles, and different upside opportunities. Well, the game sector is a global sector. It is $138 billion global sector, so bigger than sort of film, bigger than television, but with creative and technological characteristics. The UK is one of the market leaders. So the UK market is probably the 6th largest market in the world. And also the UK is a hub for development and publishing of video games and has been for 20, 30 years now. Overall, the game sector offers significant growth, 10% plus growth over the next 3, 4, 5 years, with differentiation. So the mobile games growth is growing at some high teens % per annum. Versus the PC and console space at close to 5%. But on a blended basis, you can look at 10% plus. And this is one of the few ways to get exposure to a global youth demographic as well. So games is quite unique and quite interesting from an investor perspective. Another reason to be having a look at the game sector at the moment is that valuations have come off substantially. So I'm here talking primarily about the UK game sector, but nevertheless the UK sector tends to follow the US valuation lead. And companies such as Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, Take-Two have all come off significantly, 30 to 50% over the last 6 months. These companies are following the lead of some of the technology, the technology mega caps, the Amazons, the Facebooks, and the Netflixes and so on, but also reflecting uncertainty about the future or as we approach a console transition in the games industry itself. Despite being exposed to slightly different dynamics, I think the UK sector has also had a fall off in valuation. Most of the companies have performed well since IPO. I think Codemasters is the only company that is currently at below its IPO price. So that potentially offers a value play, whereas the other companies have traded robustly, and all the companies, all 3 companies that came to market last year are likely to, or have said they're going to meet their full year expectations for the current trading year. What is it about the games industry that makes it exciting? What is different is the fragmentation. The global industry has enjoyed a period of significant digitalization, where digital distribution is replacing physical distribution, downloadable content is extending the life of games, and the global market is growing substantially, so there are more people playing more games. The cost of developing a game is going down, and also the risk profile of developing a game. The historic model required a lot of working capital to prepare a finished product for a commercial launch. Physical box product being sent to retail and then distributed worldwide. That is all part of history now, and there's a much more cost-effective and capital-efficient model which is digital distribution. And it also leads to a concept of a game as a service, where you launch a relatively light game and then can support that game over a longer period of time to extend the lifetime and runway of the game and overall increase your IRR. So this is the new world that we are operating in, and this is why we think games is an attractive space to be in. The future, looking forward to 2019, we are in an uncertain world, both from a technology perspective as well as from a global macroeconomic perspective. So there are likely to be sort of swings and roundabouts, dips on which to buy, and we think now is a currently attractive time to be looking at the game sector. Growth is forecast to continue. Esports as a potential future driver of future growth looks attractive. Streaming may well be introduced with the next console cycle, likely to be in 2020. The games as a service concept, the digitalization, there are lots of themes and trends to follow here, and all sort of helping to support the secular growth of the games industry. I'd want to emphasize that this is a fragmented market. The companies, the UK companies all have different business models, focus on different sectors, different risk profiles, and when you sort of dig beneath the surface, I think that they should not be thought of as a homogeneous sector, but as different ways to play given themes. So keywords, as I said, is a service provider. It gives you, it offers exposure to a global, the global game sector. Codemasters, Frontier are much more self-developed, developers and self-publishers. They own IP, they license IP, and they develop a small portfolio of titles. Team 17 has a much broader portfolio of smaller titles as an independent self-publisher, and Sumo Digital is a co-developer work for hire. So they all have different dynamics. That's the UK market. There are also a number of listed companies across Europe, particularly in Sweden, Poland, and France, but in other jurisdictions as well. And I've made reference to the US majors, and there are also the likes of Sony, Nintendo, and Sega over in Japan, Korea, and Tencent in China. So there are global ways to attack this market. There's a European proposition which is strong, and a UK proposition which I think is very interesting indeed. Please do have a look at our report.